Dan Campbell, has, what do you want in your offensive coordinator as our head coach launches into this search? Feedback coming in. John Morton did a better job calling plays than Dan Campbell did. The points per game prove it. Not saying Morton shouldn't have been fired, but Dan Campbell should definitely not be calling plays next season. Well, the points per game did go down. Gator gave you all those offensive metrics that did go up, and points per game is the ultimate measurement. They did take on more injuries as the year went on, and also played some better defenses as the year went on. But hey, look, points per game is very important. I don't disagree with that.
Well, and in those games that he was the play caller, weeks 10 through 17, or games 10 through 17, they had the 7th highest point total. So the points were down, but they may have been down throughout the league during that time in the second half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But still 7th in the league.
But look, play calling comes under heavy scrutiny, and this person did not like the play calling of Dan Campbell. Next one, the problem with Dan Campbell is he doesn't have the ability to adjust mid-game. He was out-coached in the Rams game. We need an experienced OC that is capable of making adjustments. Same goes for the DC. Look, they didn't get it done in the Rams game, whether or not he was out-coached. When you make that comment, I'd like to... It might be true, but if you believe that, give me a specific as to why you think he was out-coached. Like, I don't make that accusation without having come up with hey, look, this is the adjustment they made, and the Lions had no counter, or vice versa. 248-539-9797. All right, Gator, who's your guy? If Dan Campbell called you up and said, look, I'm not going to hire who you tell me to, but who's somebody that you would recommend I take a look at? And as a confidant of Dan Campbell, you would say what?
I would say, and this person isn't necessarily available, still has a year left on his contract. They extended him last year for another year, so he's going to be at this place through 2026. But I would look at Wes Phillips. Who's Wes Phillips, Doug? Wes Phillips is the offensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings, and he's been there since 2022. Prior to that, he was with the Rams as a tight ends and passing coordinator and tight ends coach. From 2019 to 2021, various roles with the Rams. So there's some familiarity with Jared Goff, and also maybe more importantly to me is that even though I understand that their head coach is the guy that really runs the show there with the offense, this guy has some say in it. Think about who the quarterbacks have been for Minnesota over the years prior to this bad year because of injuries and whatnot. But prior to that, Sam Darnold had a career year with the Vikings a couple years ago. Prior to that, Kirk Cousins was the quarterback, and Kirk Cousins was awfully steady for them. I think Goff is better than both of those guys by a lot. And having somebody that's worked with an offense that has weapons and has been successful with a quarterback that is immobile, I think that would be a logical step to come to the Lions if they wanted to go that route.
But you can't get them. Is that correct?
Well, I think if you were to, can you get him if you offer him a assistant head coach job? If you add to the title?
So you have to add to the title. It has to be a step up per se. I don't know.
And because Kevin O'Connell is a guy who calls his own plays anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
you'd be down for Wes Phillips.
Yeah, I'd certainly. If you had to ask for permission, maybe then ask for permission.
So the guy that I would go after is a guy that has Goff familiarity, and that the two of them were on the Rams at the same time. He was an assistant quarterback coach and a wide receiver coach, and has recently been an offensive coordinator with the Atlanta Falcons. And Falcons, when they moved on from Raheem Morris, Zack Robinson, their offensive coordinator, is now, of course, looking for a job. And what I don't think you'll love about him is that he falls off the McVay tree. Oh. But the McVay tree has been pretty fruitful for people in the NFL. And he has Goff familiarity, having been a part of that Rams staff when Goff was there. Offensively, last year, step back for Atlanta. They were middle of the pack in run and pass. But 2 years ago, when it was Kirk Cousins, but they had a bunch of guys, and there were some injuries that it was included. They were top 5 in, I think it was top 5 run, top 10 pass offense in the league. So just that would be a guy that if Dan Campbell, if I were a confidant of Dan Campbell and he sought my counsel, I would say take a look to a guy that's got familiarity with Goff and has had success and been an offensive coordinator in this league, Zack Robinson. And he's one of these young, dynamic guys who's considered to be a great communicator.
I think with both of the candidates we presented, which obviously both have Rams ties to them, and so obviously I don't have an issue if it's a tie to McVay. I just don't like McVay as a person.
It's very personal. It's not professional. It's just personal.
But I think a question that's worthy of asking both of the guys we brought up, because they were both there with Jared Goff when Jared Goff was successful, and then when he was on the outs with Sean McVay, is how did you feel about his relationship with McVay? Mm-hmm. Did you agree that the Rams needed to move on, or did you disagree with Sean McVay and how he handled that situation? Because it was awkward that last year for sure. And I'd be curious to hear what both of these guys would say about that. If they both had Jared Goff's back, thought, well, I didn't think it ended the right way, or if they like Sean McVay made the right decision. Obviously, we won a Super Bowl after that, when we traded for a better quarterback. Or what would they say? Because I'd be curious about that.
Sure, I think you're right. Their perspective on how that all played itself out. In the meantime, we're asking you, if you're a confidant of Dan Campbell and he sought your counsel, what advice would you give him in going after an offensive coordinator? Is it a particular skill set you'd want that OC to bring to the table? Is there something on the resume that you want? Is there a specific person you want? 248-539-9797.
Plus one other little tidbit. Wes Phillips' grandfather was Bum Phillips.
Okay.
Tell me you didn't love Bum Phillips.
Okay, I will tell you whether or not I love Bum Phillips. You tell me if that isn't what was the tipping point for you to say, go get Wes Phillips because he was Bum Phillips' grandson.
I will be 100% honest with you. I did not know it until 30 seconds ago when I saw it as part of the Wikipedia thing.
But now you want him bad.
Well,
if you don't know who Bum Phillips is, Google search Bum Phillips and you'll see a picture and the answer is yes. Your question will be, wait, that guy was a head coach in the NFL? Yes. And the picture you will see of Bum Phillips is how he used to dress on the sidelines, looking like he was straight off the set of the TV show Yellowstone.
Or
he
Dallas,
could totally have been a ranch hand.
Wearing a giant cowboy hat and even bigger belt buckle. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's how Bum Phillips dressed on the sidelines.
I believe his name was O.A. Bum Phillips.
His name was
his
O.A.?
initials were O.A.
Really?
Yeah. Now I need to.
Do we know what the O.A. stood for? I bet it's going to be classic.
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I'm gonna try to think that this is perfect why he was the coach of the Oilers. O-A-I-L is his first name.
Like oil?
I guess.
Spelled like nail, but with an O?
Yes. Andrew Bum Phillips Jr. He's a junior. Wow. There's an old senior. Or there was.
Well, there you go. 248-539-9797. Gator wants Wes Phillips, Bum Phillips' grandson, to be the new offensive coordinator. I'm going with Zack Robinson. Falls off the McVay tree. Recent OC with the Atlanta Falcons. Joe and Grosse-Ile, you're next. Hi, Joe.
Hey, guys. I'd be okay with either of your suggestions, especially if Wes wears his grandpa's hat on the sideline. That would be special.
100%.
Yeah. This guy has to have worked and had success with a less than mobile quarterback, but also somebody who can integrate a top 3 tight end. It's really underrated how much the loss of Laporta hurt the Lions down the stretch.
It was huge.
Yep.
And if we can get either of those two guys, I'd be thrilled because we can win with somebody like that. And we just need to get our mojo back because something was missing this year. And I think it started with the play caller. The snap was not there.
Well, Wes Phillips has worked with somebody named T.J. Hawkinson, and he's a pretty decent tight end. I don't know if he's a great tight end, but he's a decent tight end. And Zack Robinson worked with Kyle Pitts, who's one of the top tight ends in the NFL. So, for what it's worth. But now, to be fair about Zack Robinson, he has no history of cowboy.
Well, that's
whereas Wes Phillips does.
Yeah.
but the point is well taken. Sam Laporta was a huge loss, a massive, massive loss.
Yeah, and then losing Brock right after that. I mean, it's like you get your backup.
It's like double down on the loss.
Yeah. But no, Laporta's loss is massive to this team.
Yeah.
For his blocking prowess, his command of the offense, and obviously is a threat in the passing game. I mean, he was as reliable as it gets.
248-539-9797. We'll get to more of your phone calls and feedback. Also, Gator, I started a new TV series. I'm intrigued a little bit, and I want your take on it. We'll get to that today at 11:30. See if I stick with it. I don't know. I think it's pretty popular. I'm always late to the game with these things.
So I usually am too.
Yeah, but I'm also an empty nester, and so there's more time. I got some time.
Don't have to worry about who's watching over your shoulder.
That's true. 11:30. We'll get to that here on 97.1.